Welcome to Dignity Leadership's podcast. Today, I've got a great lineup on our show today. I've got an insights guru flying in on Zoom from Indianapolis, Indiana. We have Nadine Murphy. In addition to that, I've also got Anna Sanchez, who's also on Zoom. And in studio with me, I've got Chad Stedham. So today, we're going to talk about personalities and why it would be important to know about a personality when you're working with your managers or your team, and how we can become better leaders through that understanding. So with that, I'm going to ask my first question of the day, and it's Nadine, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, welcome. Thank you. So I'm going to ask you, you got 60 seconds. Can you tell me why it's important for a leader to understand somebody else's personality?
Absolutely. It's very important for a leader and anyone to be self-aware. When you're self-aware of maybe some blind spots or some limitations, and you start working on those, you can improve how you're interacting with your coworkers, people who work for you, your partners in life. It doesn't have to just be a work self-awareness. This can be self-awareness for all interactions that you may encounter. And this is a journey. This isn't something that you can just read a book on and be a master. You continue to evolve and grow as you learn more about yourself and others.
Well, thank you. So I'll have to comment in on that. And I agree that leadership is a journey. And if leaders stop learning, then are we really growing? And that's kind of you and I've had a lot of conversations. You know, that's my why is to learn, to grow, to lead, and create a world of dignity. And I think the personality thing plays a crucial part in that, because we've got to understand where the other person's coming from. And when you and I first met, so you and I've worked together for quite a while, and you're in the IT space, and I'm an end user of your IT products or software. And I'm the guy that calls and says, hey, this is broke. Hey, that doesn't work. And when I started working with you, and then I found out you're an insights guru, I did not place you into the spot of the personality where you are. I mean, I figured you were a task-oriented person, helping on the help desk. You got to get this done. You got to get that done. Somebody's calling in. And then you and I started having conversations, and I had an aha moment. And you made a post on LinkedIn, I believe it was, and you were a yellow. Mm-hmm. I was shocked. So how do you blend, or how do you use all the different energies from insights? And we're going to get into it here in a little bit, but there's blues, there's yellows, there's greens, there's reds. Can you talk to me a little bit about what those different energies mean and how we can use them?
Absolutely. And we have all of those energies within us, and we have different preferences. So my preference, I lean into that sunshine yellow energy, which is very people-oriented, focusing on an extroverted and people decision-making process. And so that is where my comfort zone is. My second highest energy that I lead into is that fiery red energy, still on that extroverted side, but now focusing on the task. And so almost equally for myself, it's yellow energy followed by that red energy. And so that's probably what you were keying in on, was that fiery red energy, more so than that sunshine yellow energy. On the introverted side, we have cool blue energy, which also focuses on the task, but they do it more of an introverted style. So they're more into the detail, they're more thought-provoking, more inwardly focused. And then we have a fourth color preference, is the earth green energy. And that is on the introverted side, but yet now focusing on the relationship. Is everybody okay? Is everybody feel good about the decision? And more on a deeper meaning relationship level is that cool, or that earth green energy. But we definitely have all four energies within us. It's just we have different preferences that we can fall into easier. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes great sense. And I think some of us have to learn how to use some of those energies. And we're going to come back to that part, because you helped me understand how I have green in me. Because you and I had a conversation. I told you I have no green in me. But I think where we're at right now, so we're just getting in the podcast. We're just getting going for all of our listeners out there. So I think this is the perfect time to dive in. And you're going to have to humble me for a second, Nadine. I've got an 8-question personality test that I want to put everybody through. So if you're listening at home, if you're listening in the car, whatever you do, don't stop. Don't be texting and driving if you're in the car listening to this podcast. But if you're at home, you're at your desk, or you're on the couch, grab out a pencil and paper or grab a notebook. And I want you to write down some answers that we're going to run through. And we're going to find out at 8 questions what your basic color preference is. So I know, Nadine, you're an expert in this. You're an insights trainer. And you just got to humor me that we're going to get this done in 8 questions. Are you willing to help me on this?
Sure. Yes.
All right. So we've even got a studio audience today, which is awesome. So we get some feedback. And so the studio audience is going to participate as well. We got to make sure we get them as well. So you guys in the studio have a choice. You can either find your spouses and you can rank the spouses and do the test for them, or you can do it for yourself. But with that, first question. When someone states an opinion that you disagree with, you are most likely to A, tell them you disagree, B, crack a joke and change the topic, C, ask for more information, or D, nod and say nothing. So everybody's opening up their phones, jotting down on paper. We're getting these answers coming in. Pick your best one. So whatever comes to your gut, just write that one down. All right, question number 2. When there's a difficulty at work and people cannot agree, you are most likely to say, A, let's make a decision. B, just chill out. It's going to be fine. C, do we need some more information? Or D, how does everybody feel? All right. Everybody should have their first gut answer down by now. Question number 3. When you go to an event where there's a lot of people that you do not know, you are most likely to A, make a beeline for the people that would be most useful to you. B, talk to as many people as possible. C, stand off to the side and see if anyone comes to me. Or D, find a few people I know and stick close to them. All right, moving along. Question number 4. The best way to describe yourself is A, motivated and fast-paced, B, friendly and fun, C, logical and careful, or D, patient and helpful. Next question. The work I enjoy most is overcoming a challenge, B, working on a wide variety of tasks with different people, C, analyzing information to solve problems and make things run better the next time, or D, helping or coaching my team to be the best they can be. All right, everybody's got an answer? Studio audience, do I get a nod? Thumbs up. All right, you like it most when people say to you, you get so much work done. B, you are amazing. C, you really care about doing good work. Or D, I don't know what I'd do without you. All right, 2 more questions to go. You should have 6 answers so far. Are we all on the same page? Thumbs up? Awesome. When a big change is announced at work, you are most likely to think, A, will we still hit our targets and make our deadlines? B, how does this affect me? C, what is the reasoning behind the change? Or D, will my team be okay? All right, gut reactions are written down. Podcast guru Kevin's giving me thumbs up. Last question. You guys got 7, right? 7 in there? Awesome. Last question. If someone starts telling me about a problem, my first reaction is to think, A, just get to the point. B, I remember when something similar happened to me. C, I'll let them finish speaking and then I'll ask questions. Or D, I'll ask, how can I help? All right. So you should have 8 answers down. What I need to do is total up your answers, A, B, C, and D. So give them a count. Find out which one's got the most, put that at the top of your list, and then your second one. All right, so Nadine, you've done this a million times, probably answering 30-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute questions on a real survey. How close were we on those 8 questions to you?
Yeah, we were really close for myself. I lead with, had 5 Bs.
5 B, and that's definitely yellow. All
Mm-hmm.
right, let's run through this real quick. So if you're at home and listen to this podcast, and I need your help on this, Nadine. So if you came up with the majority of A's, so if most of your answers are A's, you're a dominant fiery red. Can you help us understand what a fiery red is, Nadine?
Yes, fiery red is that extroverted, focusing on the task. You like to get things done. You want to make lists and check them off. They have a tagline: be brief, be bright, and be gone. Get in, get out, get it done.
And I thought when I met you, you were red, be brief and be gone. And then heaven forbid I find out what you are and you're a yellow. And then next thing you know, I've sucked like 90 minutes out of your life because you're talking. So I get why you have to understand some of that yellow energy. All right. So now if you had B's, B's are the yellows. So if you had the majority of B's on your list, can you describe what a sunshiny yellow is, Nadine?
Yes. Sunshine yellow is still on the extroverted side, but now they're focusing on the people. And they are a master of many relationships. So they have lots of friends, they're gregarious, they're outgoing, they're the life of the party. They enjoy people.
So I'm going to deviate from here. I got Chad in the studio, and I've known Chad for quite a while. I've met Chad in the St. Ed's Master's program in leadership. And I told Chad, I said, dude, you're a yellow. So Chad, let me hear it. How many B's do you have on your list?
So you're going to laugh. 2.
What?
Yes.
Right,
so it was the yellow and the red whenever I took the full test, right? So
Yep.
I was predominantly yellow, but on this, and one of the studio audiences that knows me really well, my wife over here, we both came up with red majority on this one. So I had 4 red, 2 yellow, and then I don't know what D is yet, but I had 2 Ds.
We're going to get to D's. It's the tree hugger greens, the peacekeepers. So we're going to get down to that one. So let's go down to the next one then. So after the yellows, we'd have C's, which are cool blues. So Nadine, can you give us a description of what a cool blue is? And if there's anybody in the room that might be a cool blue?
Yes, so cool blue, they focus on the task, and it's on that introverted side. So they like the details. They think to speak. So they're very introverted. They ask probing questions. They want more of the facts. They make their decisions on the details and the problem at hand, instead of making a decision around maybe a relationship or how the group feels. It's more data driven.
And have you worked with any cool blues? Do you know any cool blues?
Yes, I work with a lot of cool blues. That is very predominant within the IT. And I believe you are lead with a preference of cool blue energy.
I do. And we'll talk a little bit about vulnerability and leadership. And it took me a long time to understand. And I think we're going to get into that in a little bit. I don't want to delay the results of the Bs, but remind me to come back and talk about what I've learned about being a cool blue, and then what my other one is, and we'll talk about how they relate. So let's move on to the last one, and it's D's. So if you put down D as your majority answer, you're a green. And can you help us understand what a green is, Nadine?
Yeah, the earth green energy is on the introverted side, and now they're focused on the people and the relationship. And they ask some questions, but it's more about the relationship instead of the problem at hand. And they're concerned with how the group is, there's consensus. They also think to speak. So their responses may be a little bit more delayed because they're on that introverted spectrum instead of that extroverted where they're, trying to get in there and get their opinions be known. They're more reserved, just like that cool blue energy.
Yeah. All right. So Anna, we covered this last week. What color came out for you on this test?
Definitely green.
Green. And I did not suspect that. So can you talk to us how it relates to you, how the green relates to you, and how you use that from a leadership standpoint?
Yes. And I'm pretty balanced when it comes to, I lean more towards the green, but I'm almost balanced with the A and the C's, or the reds and the blues. And so I'm a nice purple color, I guess.
But you're also.
But for me, it's always about the people, and especially your question about change. I recently went through some pretty good change at work, and my first concern was for my team and how it was going to impact them, and that has always been something of mine. A passion of mine has really been about team development and seeing them succeed.
So let's look at, if you're a green, and of course I don't have my glasses on because I left them at home before I drove here to the studio. And I can't even read this. So we're gonna figure out a way how to make it bigger. And I don't know, Nadine, you don't happen to have my sheet pulled up, but how do you communicate with the green, Nadine? Can you help bail me out since I don't have my glasses on? I'm going to dig them out.
So the preferences for the earth green is more of a slower pace. Give them time to think about what is being said, and allow them to respond, and allow for that silence to happen. Silence can be okay. The fiery reds and the sunshine yellows may be really uncomfortable with silence, but it can be okay. It can be very reassuring for people to know that we're waiting for them to speak, and we want to hear what they have to say. And that's for both the earth green and that cool blue energy.
So I got my glasses on. I was able to zoom in on my phone. So how to relate with an earth green person: be easygoing, supportive, and patient. Don't take advantage of my good nature, and give me time to complete projects. The Insight slogan is, show me you care. So from your training, is that a pretty accurate description?
Absolutely, 100%. So just like with that sunshine yellow energy, and I said that they were a master of many relationships, that earth green energy is a master at one relationship, or it's more meaningful. They may have more than one, they probably do, but it's not that vast majority that extroverted character would have. It is a deeper, richer, more meaningful relationship that you're going to have with that earth green energy.
So, Anna, I've got to defer to you. You're a green. Is that relatable?
Oh, yes, definitely is, especially in giving me time to think and process what I'm observing or listening to. And I had an who's now retired manager of mine who would always, if we were in a meeting, he would always come directly to me and say, Anna, I know you're thinking. What's your opinion, or whatever the topic might be? And he was probably the first leader. He probably had an Insight training, but he was the first leader I ever had in my career that recognized that in me and made it a point to include me when I was being rolled over by the red personalities, because they tend to want to put out their opinions a lot faster.
Yeah,
So it does resonate.
definitely
So
be.
Anna, when that happened, did you feel like your relationship shifted with your manager? Did you feel like you turned a corner and you started working easier with each other when that realization happened?
Absolutely did. I think it made for a more cohesive leader direct report relationship. And I felt like my opinion mattered more because he understood the value behind why I behave in the way that I do and thinking through things. Now, it's not analysis paralysis for me, but it does take some time to absorb and understand if what I'm hearing is correct and how I'm perceiving what the message that's being sent to me. But it did make for a very good relationship, and we still connected today. We're friends now, and he's still a mentor in some ways.
So I'm going to interject here, and you said something, analysis by paralysis. So we're going to move over to the blues, because I think you just, if I didn't know better, I'd say you almost called me out, because blues, we have a tendency to do analysis by paralysis. So if you're a blue, this is how you relate with a cool blue person. So if you're not blue and you need to talk to a blue, this is how you do it. So number one, be well prepared and speak in a straightforward way. Give them as many details as possible. Give me time alone to analyze my thoughts and my feelings. And then last, if I appear irritated, it's with myself for not expressing myself adequately. Insight slogan, give me the details.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think that describes me right down to a T. And I got a studio audience, my wife, who we got to make sure her mic's muted because she's laughing her behind off right now, because that is me to a T. And how much time we have left, Kevin? On our 30 minutes?
We got about 7 minutes.
We got 7 minutes. So we need to get through 2 more colors and make sure everybody knows this. So here's what I'm going to ask. You know, I steal your guys' time. You guys come and help me out. So if we push this show into 2 episodes, are you guys willing? Can you hang out with us for another episode?
Yeah. I can't believe time's already gone.
It does. Time flies by in 30 minutes. All right. So let's move down. Let's move up to, let's go to sunshine yellows. We have a sunshine yellow in Nadine. So Nadine, tell me how close I am with this one. Here's how you relate with Nadine and all the rest of the yellows. Give me friendship, affection, and freedom. Appreciate my fantasies and listen to my anecdotes. Don't try to change me, accept me for who I am. Stand on your own 2 feet and do not depend on me. The Insight slogan, involve me, please.
Yep. Yes. I had a leader say, well, why don't you just work from home a couple days of the week? I was talking about having a hard time getting something done. And I said, are you punishing me? Working from home, I see that as a punishment. I need that people energy. I need people. I'm energized by others. And I think I sometimes walk over so the cool blue and the earth green, and I definitely try to dial it down when I know I'm in a room with folks that need a little more quiet than what I normally go to.
So when you walk into a room, and if you're sitting there and someone walks into the room and you see the like parade following them in, or the party starting, that's a yellow. I mean, that's your first indication that somebody's full of sunshine. All right, so let's move on. The last one we have is the fiery red person. So here's how you relate with a dominant red. So Chad, this one's all about you. So if I'm going to relate with you, Chad, I need to stand up for myself. I need to be confident. I need to be strong and direct. Accept that preparing to lose my temper is part of who you are. And I'm going to talk about that here in a second, because I think reds are a glass of whiskey. I think greens are a keg of beer. We'll get to that here in a second. And then remember that I have a vulnerable side. So even though the reds might come across as being dominant and strong, they do have a vulnerable side and they do care. And then don't make a mistake for assertive manner as a personal attack. And then the Insight slogan, I think, Nadine, you already said this, so you want to repeat what the Insight slogan is for reds?
Be brief, be bright, and be gone.
Bingo. That's exactly what I got written down. So Chad, is that you?
So there's a slogan that I have all my individuals that I lead anytime they come to me. It's called BLUF. BLUF stands for bottom line up front. That pretty much describes me to a T right there with your red description.
So Nadine, help us understand, and I got a pretty good idea, but help all of our listeners who might not have looked at insights as long. So reds and yellows are extroverts, blues and greens are introverts. But
Yes.
how do you distinguish between a red and a yellow when you're making observations? You don't have a chance to do this personality test. You just got to observe them.
Yeah, sunshine yellows will crack jokes, and you might be familiar with squirrel. They go from one task to another quickly, and then they can come right back to the original task. That fiery red, they like to get it done and move on and not go back to it necessarily. They don't like jokes. They want to get started on time. They're on time. Sunshine yellows usually still in the hallway making their way to the meeting, and they're about 4 minutes, 5 minutes late. So, and sometimes sunshine yellow really irritate that fiery red because they want to get going, and that sunshine yellow wants to have a party sometimes.
You know, I wish all of our listeners could see everything that's going on at the studio audience right now, because we got a lot of finger pointing going back and forth, and it's actually pretty funny. But anyway, so let's move on to the next one. Let's talk about the introverts. You've got greens and blues. And how do you distinguish the difference between a green and a blue?
It comes down to how they focus on the problem. Are they focusing on that task? Do they want the data? Are they asking those probing questions that are really analytical? That is that cool blue energy. Or are they focusing on how the room feels? Has everybody spoken up? We haven't heard from Janie for a while. Janie, what do you think? Trying to draw others into the conversation so nobody feels left out of that decision-making process. That's the biggest key difference between the cool blue energy and that earth green energy.
And that's good information to have. So if you're in a room, let's say you're in a conference room, you're on a Zoom call, and you know, right now with everything that's going on in the world, it seems to be Zooms. How do you know who's a green when you're just looking at your screen?
Yeah, that can definitely be tough. You need to ask some probing questions, have a side conversation ahead of time with folks, if you can, if time's available, to get to know them a little bit better, to get to understand what their styles are and what they would appreciate. Again, that's around that self-awareness and trying to adapt to somebody else's style to have a more meaningful and more productive either meeting or work environment. Yeah, it's definitely tough. We used to have cues, plants, and I, you know, it just dawned on me, Anna's background, she is surrounded by plants that, and it's not a coincidence that earth green, and Anna leads with that color preference, and she's surrounding herself with plants. My office is a disaster. Sunshine yellow, it's all over the place, but I know where everything is. That cool blue energy is very organized and tidy. So you might get some clues by some of the backgrounds if people are not having a virtual background and allowing us to see inside their homes or their home office. So just being observant can help, but also I would encourage people to have conversations just to try to get to know each other a little bit more before you need it.
Awesome. That's good information. So here we are. We're coming up against 30 minutes already. So we appreciate all the listeners coming in today. We've talked about our 4 colors. Hopefully you've taken time to do the assessment yourself. If you were driving today and listen to this, I encourage you to go back, rewind this podcast, listen to it, and find out what you are for yourself. It's going to be eye-opening. It's also going to help you. And then as you learn about what we're talking about, it's going to help you identify your followers and the people that you're leading in order to understand them better. So with that, we're up against the 30-minute clock. I'm going to invite these guests back for another podcast. So stick around for episode 2 of our Insights Personality discussions. With that, I'm Rich Levine, founder of Dignity Leadership Consulting. You can find me on LinkedIn. So it's LinkedIn/Rich, RICH.Levine, LEVENE at LinkedIn. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook. You can find us under Dignity Leadership Consulting. So with that, I'm out. Thanks and have a great week.